Adrian Sherwood, and you're at the new On Sound studio here that we've built, and we're very happy with this room. It's Dave McEwen's built it with in mind accuracy, because very often in a room you sit here and it sounds really good. You might sit down there and it's much more, you know, on the couch, and it'd be much more bassy, much too bassy. So we've got the room now tuned so that if you sit down here, or you sit here, or you stand up, it's as accurate as we can afford to make it, to be quite honest. What we're using, we've got Pro Tools HD 2 here, which we can work any of the similar systems. We've got all of them in here. And what we do really is we record things. We might go to a room, because we do like to get, apart from the programming, live performance, and to me that's very important. Having the programmed work and having it makes your tracks swing and feel really good, a bit of live bass or percussion or vocals, everything. We always try and get some element of performance on our tracks. I am, however, going to play a track that hasn't got too much. This is Brother Pinch, Sherwood and Pinch new album has just come out. Promote, All Night Endless. And Pinch has basically built the rhythm and programmed it, and we've added sounds, samples and noises together. But the track being digital and having originated at Pinch's studio, the Tectonic studio in Bristol, it was then brought here. We processed it here using analog equipment, took that into the Pro Tools, and then we take it out and process it using analog old vintage equipment, processing it through this desk here, which you can see, which is my ancient Sapphire, Soundcraft Sapphire, but a desk I trust and I'm very familiar with and love using. We process it through this. Certain bits we will record back in just one element of the processed sound, perhaps a piano or bass or something, or whatever we choose to. And then we will then take the whole lot and bring it back individually onto this mixing desk. So what we've got here, we've got like our bass drum, our snare, hats, shakers, percussion, some, you know, the percussion, bass, vocals, every aspect of the tune is here in mono or stereo images. Mono, mono, mono. The rest are actually stereo on this one, because this was prepared with today in mind, so you can hear how we did it quite efficiently. And after doing that, it's laid up, I balance the song, and then I will attempt to rip it to pieces, attacking the mix with my fingers using the auxiliary sends and EQs, and use the bank of effects. At the moment we're using an Eventide H8000, AMS delay, 2 settings, and an AMS reverb, an Eventide H9, which is a new effect from America, which I love to pieces. It's wonderful. Little box there is an absolute gem. And with those simple 2 delays and 3 reverbs, or 3 multi-effects, and what we've used in the box, that's how we're completing the mix. The song that we're going to do today is Sherwood and Pinch. It's Give Me Some More Tight Like That, which is from the Sherwood and Pinch debut album. I'd like to introduce you to Dave McEwen. Dave I've worked with for 5 years, and he's a brilliant engineer, brilliant young engineer, and he, as I said, he designed this room, and he runs all the computers, because I to be honest, I like to see myself more as the analog person, or the lazy fat producer who sits on the couch and then steps up and, apart from having certain instructions throughout the process, then comes up and mixes the things at the end. So Dave can explain to you how technically we work, and he'll give you a little chat through the process.
Hi, I'm Dave McEwen, Adrian Sherwood's engineer. I do all the computer stuff really. Leave the desk for Adrian on his mixes. I started off with Fruity Loops maybe when I was a young kid and kind of got into it through that, really, through interest in the studio stuff and just how it works, really. So worked through a few studios down in Brighton, then back through up to London. It was the old Siamese studios back then, and then a few other studios, Dean Street, doing Reverend and the Makers back then. It's kind of through how I met Adrian. I've been working with Adrian now for about 5 years. For the last few years at On New Sound Studios, we did the last Congo Natty album. We did the African Head Charge album. A few remixes for Django Django. Just last night we're working with Roots Maneuver and mixing a bit of additional production. Yeah, lots of things that I can't even remember now. The way that we work here is kind of half and half inside the box, as we call it, inside the computer, Pro Tools. And then on the desk with all the analog gear, like for effects and things like that. But really, we do half the work inside the computer. So we'll do bits of EQing, maybe bits of compression, just to kind of make it tidy, really, and then maybe mess it up a bit when it gets on the desk. So for example, we've got like kicks. These are bounced parts from Pinch. This is off the latest Sherwood and Pinch record. So these are the stems and files off Pinch's session, which he would have done in Logic. It's got kick, snare, hats, other hats, bit of bongos, bass, the bass sub and bass mids to split it up, and things like that, really. So we've got a few effects running on these vocal samples and EQs, just really rolling off the top and bottom, really, because they're a bit noisy, the samples, so not interfere with things. What else have we got going? This automation here is basically, I think that's just the volume automation. Just because it gets a bit louder sometimes. I can't really remember why we did it all, but now it kind of like here. What's this? 31. Yeah, so this one's quite simple, really. It's just a few effects, really. So then it's all kind of tidy when it goes onto the desk with Adrian. It's a bit more controlled, really. So we don't have to keep changing it every time. Here we've got a sample track, and then what we've done here is made it like a fade in and fade out, just so it's a transition through two parts, I think. Let's have a quick listen. Yeah, so there we just got it fading in and fading out. These are the fades, and we've got a send to a reverb or a delay here, which we've got set as a dotted eighth note, which is always a favourite in this studio. So we just do that as a effect send through the bus. So that's what you get there. Yeah, a basic one, really. Working with a lot of samples, you kind of want to take the bottom off from about 100. That's what I do. Maybe a little bit of top to get rid of the noise, really. So on this track, we've what are these? I think these are old samples off a record or something. So yeah, you just got to take all the low end off it really. And also we've pitched it up as well, 3 semitones here, and put a little bit of reverb on it really, just to make it sit into the mix a little bit. And then we've also got a few semis. So that's with the 8th dotted delay again. So also what we do sometimes is record reverbs and that from the desk and put it back into the computer, just so we've got more control and we can mute things or leave it out, or you know, reverse them or anything generally like that really. So this is the reverb track here. Things like that really, and then you can mess around with them and you know, send it back out, process it more, and you know, you start getting more depth, you know, a bit more dynamics really, working like that.
You know, I would recommend everybody having a mixture of the programmed and try and get aspects of getting your hands on, because you can have so much more fun with it. We're now running from the Pro Tools. We've got everything laid up now, and I'm going to run. I'm literally we've run stems or parts and everything, and here we go. This is Give Some More, Sherwood and Pinch, running firstly foot drum. Oh, noisy pot. Now with this, I'm engaging using a delay. Now we get some hi-hats. Now we're going to go into triplet mode on the hi-hats. Now we're going to dub it up. We're going to leave the drums. Now we're going to bring the drums back. Foot drum. It's dropped. We've got some things coming in now. Here we are. We're going to drop. So the track's empty. Here we come back. And one rolling. David, it's the end. Here we are. Back to the beginning again. Ambience. I like it with the analog because you can actually EQ sweep things. If I put the delay on there, I'm bending it again. Now we've got one of the stems we're running here. Going to solo on that. This stem here, we've got the ambience, bits of voices and sound effects. Now if I mixed it in the box, which we can do in a little while, we obviously control it. With me, I can move it stereo left and right with my fingers. It's not playing at the moment. There's some bass sounds running. That's my noises, running stereo with my fingers. Now, drums. I'm going to reverb the snare. Drums. Now we're going to delay the hi-hats. Now we drop back the whole rhythm. Now you can do all this in the box. But doing it analog, you get a whole different flavour. Reverb on the snare. Now delay on the snare. Let's have some of the first stem noise. You're listening to Sherwood and Pinch. Hold some more from the album All Night Endless. Our assistant likes it. Yes, doggy. That is just a quick mad analog dub, okay? Just using actually using one reverb and 2 delays. That's just messing about. But just by engaging your hands in it, we're using everything we've got in the computers. We're using all our pre-programmed, everything's actually laid out. So I've got it set now, but what David's got, we could pull this whole desk down and I could put it up and it'd be pretty much there or thereabouts when it came to the mix. It's almost prepared in the mix as if I was doing a live show. And that means expediency of taking the digital and the analog together is very, very efficient. It's like not messing around, so we can recall it in like a matter of minutes. The approach that we have is get the thing prepared. Like I said, we have everything's laid out pretty much like it would be if we were transferring it to a digital hard drive or something for use in a studio, like you're doing a mix. We prepared it like that inside the Pro Tools. Now when it's set up, I showed you a very, very simple mix there. I was actually messing around doing it on the fly, but we'd have quite a few more. We'd be using the compressors inside here and the outboard compressors. I would then do 3 mixes, maybe 4. Listen back to the mixes, say I prefer the intro of this mix, prefer the X amount of bars from this, the end of this mix. We would then be able to put the mixes together and have that bounced back into the Pro Tools. Now recently what we've been doing is we've been mixing the rhythm track analog, running it back in. and having the voice stored inside the Pro Tools and taking the voice and putting the voice on top of a mix. Now we might have a straight mix with just little touches of reverb or touches of delay and compression. I then might have a very mad dub mix that's really just minimal with delays like you saw just then. We will then see what sits with the voice, and it's amazing. You might, because what you find something you just not get by without the random chance of the way I'm mixing analog. Then using the computer, getting the voice to bed in against maybe a sheet of white noise feedback, dubbed up, and then we suddenly feel, right, we want it solid again, straight back to a Pro Tools impression, because it's set the same way as you've got the mixing desk. Similarly, I've been very excited lately with another thing I can do with the computer that I can't do with the desk, but using the desk, is making the computer make everything play backwards. So channel 1's the foot drum. Instead of making it play, make it channel 24 here, channel 1, we keep it all playing backwards. So the whole thing's mixed backwards, but set with exactly the same levels as it would be going forward. I then would be conscious that I can't go too mad, because the reverb will be going shh, like this, would be going shh, shh, backwards. And a delay on the hi-hats will make the hi-hats actually play before. So we're creating very unusual syncopated rhythms that are then, when we turn the final mix over, the stereo mix, the effects are sucking and playing before the beat. Then running them in and cutting between a backward and a forward mix and overdubbing things forward in the computer, we're getting quite a trippy psychedelic kind of effect. And that's something I'm going to explore a lot on a couple of productions I've got up my sleeve at the moment. Because I've had the luxury of actually recording most of our own samples, so I make them ourselves. I've been blessed by working with Style Scott from a very early age, who was murdered last year, and it's a very big loss to us all. Sly Dunbar, Keith LeBlanc, the great Keith did Tackhead, all the Sugar Hill records, Little Axe, and I worked with those great musicians, and I've got countless albums of recordings of foot drums, snares, hi-hats, cymbals, having worked with Pete Lockett, the great percussionist, another good friend of mine. I've got samples galore. That what we tend to do is put 3 foot drums together and make a big fat foot drum. We do all of it inside the computer, but I don't actually make one off somebody else's electronic signal. I'd be relying, if I'm working with Pinch, who's he's DJing every weekend and he's more aware what's going on in a club, perhaps using certain frequencies. I will enhance something he'll bring to me, which he might have sourced off a digital, countless digital foot drums. But I do try very much to put a bit of character into the production, where we use techniques that perhaps are old, or ambient recordings in conjunction with very heavy, perhaps even techno frequency foot drums. I make something that's erogenous, breathing, fat, fat heavyweight sound. On top of that, I also have banks and banks of sample libraries that I've made. Again, at least 50% recorded by ourselves, but I've got a wealth of break beats recorded off reggae records, just like one beat here, one bar, that I can either make a loop or, again, process the snares or foot drums together inside the computer to make a sound that creates like a picture in the final thing with the production.